Upava, da ste v filmu uživali. Mislim, glede na smeh in vse, verjetno bo fajn. Super.
I can see there are a little less faces here, so it's going to be a more like cozy. I mean, it was cozy before, and now it's like less cozy, but it's nice.
Yeah, if you want to move to the beanbags, it's fine.
So we can like gather around children.
Yeah.
It's time for a story.
It's time for a story.
So again, thank you for coming. This event was organized by Društvo študentov prevajalne književnosti and Filmska sekcija, oddelka za prevajalstvo, which I'm not going to translate in English because it's a mouthful.
There are like two societies, student societies, just bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, about the movie. So this movie, as the beginning stated, was made in 1988. So for the animation, this is a really good movie. In comparison, I mean, like animation-wise, like the technique here used, I'm going to be rubbish at English. The technique here used is very interesting and very intricate. It steps up the game that Miyazaki already started with the movies he did before, like for example Nausicaa and Castle in the Sky that came in 84 and 86. But at the same time, for example, in the Walt Disney universe, The Little Mermaid came out. So maybe we can make a comparison there, like how different the animation was and what different techniques are used. Here are much more subtle watercolor like schemes, as in comparison to the, I don't know, Little Mermaid, where the colors are much more much more defined.
Solid.
Solid. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is kind of bloody difficult. So My Neighbour Totoro is the English translation of the Japanese title. In Slovene, we basically don't have a translation. I don't think you can actually find a DVD, like with Slovenian subtitles. I searched, I didn't find them. But if you did, good job.
The original title is
Tonarino Totoro.
Tonarino Totoro.
Which is also the song. If you want to listen to some of the music that was composed all by the same composer who did all the movies, all the Miyazaki movies, you can watch. I also put it on the Facebook event. There is like this whole concert for the 25th anniversary of Ghibli Studio. You should definitely listen to that.
It was nice music, wasn't it? It was like really cute.
Yeah, I mean this is also one of the charms of the movie because it has really good soundtrack and it's not like this sing-along concept of music. But
yeah, I mean,
it's a proper soundtrack.
yeah, really it is. Yeah, and you actually like hear the orchestra like playing. In contrast to, for example, The Little Mermaid or any basically Disney movie where it's okay, you can kind of hear the orchestra, but it's mostly like kind of a musical cartoon. It's like singing and
Just around the riverbed. No, it's fine. Anyway, so Hayao Miyazaki is basically the most famous and the ultimate Japanese movie animation guy who everybody knows. He will turn 76 this year, retired, though there are some speculations that he's coming back to do a 3D movie. We don't know. He officially retired. There is a whole movie, a documentary about this, but which you also should watch. But there were some news about him returning to do more movies, which is always a good news, or also bad, because because he's like the best animator there. All the other creators that are still like doing movies, like for example, the same year that My Neighbour Totoro came out, A Grave of the Fireflies came out, which was made by another animator whose surname I will not pronounce because I'm terrible at Japanese. So, that's also the reason why he tried many times to like step aside and give other people space to create their own anime movies. Well, so My Neighbour Totoro is basically the movie which was released worldwide. The movies prior, there were 3 of them, the 2 I've already mentioned, did not had this impact in like the world culture. Like Totoro is basically now everywhere. You have onesies, which is still waiting to come at my house. I had the idea to come here in a Totoro onesie, which would be totally normal, but you know, the Chinese didn't send it, you know, soon enough, fast enough.
I mean, now you're trying to say it's basically it's the first Japanese like cartoon breakthrough to the Western world. Anime. Sorry.
Thank you. There's a difference.
There is a difference.
So.
I'm sorry. But you can see it got like really interesting reception, I believe. Like people, I think it was very interesting for the Western world. Like maybe I heard some comments from like you guys that it was not like something you'd expect. Like probably not all of you have seen the movie like many times. You've seen it for the first time tonight, right? Who's seen it for the first time? Okay.
More fans.
More fans, yeah. I think this is like a great introductory film for Miyazaki's world. You should definitely like search into it. But as you may have, I don't know, you probably expected like this plot that would be a little bit like action-packed and like that would have like a big twist or something, like a big plot and like a big explosion at the end and stuff like that. But was it? Not really. But not like not in a boring way. I'm not trying to say it was boring. It was just sort of calm in a way. It just made you laugh and it made you peaceful in a way, which is what the Japanese are all about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole idea, I think, of Japanese or Eastern animation as a whole, or at least as this Miyazaki movies show, is that we are all connected to a broader world that can be filled with magic, and it doesn't need to be super explosive. I think the most like plot twisty peak movie that he did was actually Princess Mononoke, which was the fifth movie or sixth movie that he did, and which was also like very popular all over the world. But going back to Totoro, it's really a movie about two kids, you know, two sisters, moving to the countryside to be near to their mother, who is, I think, suffering from tuberculosis, or at least recovering from tuberculosis.
This was actually based on Miyazaki's real life.
Mm-hmm.
His mother.
Yeah, his mother suffered for tuberculosis, and I think actually died because of it.
Yeah. So I guess we could say maybe this movie was sort of his way of coping with her death or something. But
that, and also like he thought of making like two brothers as the main characters, but said that it would be too painful to even like conceive a movie like this for him, you know, to do a movie like this, because it was way too personal, and that's why he chose to have two female characters.
The female characters are based on his niece, I think.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like split personality.
Basically took the childish part of her niece and the adult part of her niece and like turned it into two. As you can see, Satsuki was like a very extroverted, very firm girl, and she knew what she wanted from life, while Mei was sort of like...
She's 4.
She's 4. That's all I can say. So, but you can see, it was very real how he represented them. Like, the little sister always sort of idolizes the big sister, and she always follows her around everywhere she goes, and she always tries to repeat everything she says and all that stuff. It's very real. You'd actually expect that from an actual filmed movie, but you actually saw that in a cartoon, which I thought was just amazing.
Anime.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I don't even care.
Yeah. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. You can whip me afterwards.
Anyway, I have 2 younger sisters, and this is... I saw your face. Stop it. So I have 2 younger sisters, and this is... It doesn't get any more real. Like the whole following around, the whole I need to take care and be responsible for their actions, and this whole interaction is like, I think, a phase that everybody lives if they have any kind of siblings, or even like very close friends that are younger or older, or any kind of, you know, but
cousin.
Cousins. Here you go.
What else? What else did you see that was sort of like a very real family element? Anyone? You can. I mean, you probably.
We don't bite.
We don't bite. We can.
Except food.
Except food. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have any kind of thoughts on this, I mean,
well,
or
just the life in the countryside in general, and the way they had to live in the house. Like,
Yeah.
I never expect nets for insects to be used in any kind of movie except, you know, Japanese animation.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just little touches like that that are really from real life that you wouldn't expect anywhere else.
Or the walking on the knees because you don't want to, you know, ruin or, you know,
Dirty the floor.
Yeah, dirty the floor because, you know, it's a house that you just moved in and, you know, you already need to clean everything up. And yeah, these are the moments that make this animation in this movie real. Like, or for example, when dad at the beginning, you know, the dad at the beginning of the movie leans out of the car and the wind nearly blows the hat and he, you know, keeps it up on his head. That's also a real moment that usually in Western animation is completely overlooked. Like this kind of little flaws of life are shown in the movie, and they're shown, and the reaction is also shown in it. Because, you know, in traditional Western animation, this would be perfect. You know, the hat would stay on the head. Ariel's hair always looks flawless, with, you know, and she has boobs that 14, 12-year-olds don't have. Fact. You know, but these kids are real, and this whole interaction they have with nature and the relationship with their, you know, their environment, and also like this whole cultural thing. There are a lot of notions of Buddhism. Like for example, the grandma is like merciful Buddha all the time. This is very present. And this is something that maybe in Western culture is more subtle, like, you know, Christian beliefs or
Elements.
Elements. Thank you. Christian elements are much more subtle in Western films. Like for example, how we interact with foreign cultures, like Pocahontas, or this whole idea of patriarchy and stuff like that. It's if you look this, you know, Western movies, or the best example are Disney movies. You can see, if you study this, you can see this very distinctly. And here is, you know, the other way around. You have more connection with nature, Buddhism, you know, Eastern religions and stuff like that.
I was very interested in the details of the movie. Like, can anyone maybe tell me like a certain detail that's very connected with Eastern beliefs and Buddhism in general? Like anything that springs to mind, like from the scene where Satsuki is looking for her sister.
No? Okay.
No? When she, her feet become swollen because she was running like a moron, and she takes off her sandals, and she starts basically running around barefoot, and that's like one of the main principles of Eastern beliefs, like the connection with the ground, being rooted to the ground.
They sleep on the floor.
They sleep on the floor.
And they take their shoes off when they go into the house.
That's true. Yeah.
That's all true, and it's also very connected to their like basic interaction with their, you know, with the stuff they own. They have a lot of respect to, you know, other people's houses, you know, their own house, their own family. They have certain, you know, barriers and stuff. We don't see here as much, you know, of this like human interaction, because, you know, they're kids and many things are allowed to kids in comparison to adult people. But we can see also when they move in how, you know, their dad says hi to the people who actually live nearby, you know, the farmers, and we can also see how Satsuki introduces herself to, you know, Obacha, to the grandmother, you know, with this really polite movement, which is foreign maybe to us. You know, the best thing we can do is shake hands and say, hi, I'm Eva, and that's it.
Or maybe another interesting thing, like when they got soaked by the rain and they stopped at the...
It's a tiny temple.
The tiny little temple, I don't know how to call it, the little chapel, something? Shrine, thank you. And they go under the roof, and they basically ask like
Yeah, they thank the
thank
spirit, the god there.
for lending them his roof for just a little while until Kanta comes and gives them.
Yeah, that's also like another real interaction between female and male like children, because you don't know how to deal with the other sex. You don't know. You just black out and just take it, and then you run away. That, or you pull the hair.
But surprisingly, Satsuki was very chill when she was just like, oh hi, my name's Satsuki, and he was like, I can't language, so he was.
That's like in the movie Up, if anybody, not Up, Inside Out. Inside Out, the movie, there is an ending scene where the girl meets at hockey another guy. It's perfect. Just watch that scene. You don't need to, watch the whole movie, but watch that scene. It perfectly represents how brains react to like sudden situations where you panic, and it's really good. And I think here is the same thing. Also, what I thought was interesting was the difference, because Satsuki and May, by the way, is also like an acronym, jest to złocznica. Homonym to the month of May, which is also basically the time when this is happening. I think it's between May and June, somewhere between this summery months. What I was trying to say. Something that slipped my mind. You're not listening. Anyway, these interactions are really interesting, and I think this is what makes Miyazaki's animation so alive. The whole idea of making their characters complex and as human as possible, and
make them actually make their characters develop themselves, basically. Like, I was also very intrigued by how their father was so like supportive of them.
Father of the year.
Father of the year.
Basically.
Like, little May comes to him and says, "Oh, I saw little black things that run around." In a Western movie, we would probably think, we would probably see a parent like, "Oh, ghosts don't exist, honey. Go to your room," or something. But here, he was like, "Oh yes, they're soup gremlins." Yes, he was just like very, not supportive, but like
understanding and
yeah.
Going with it. That, and all the references to different like spirits, like Totoro. I think Totoro is basically mispronounced. I think it's Totoro and Totoro.
Yeah.
And it means like forest troll.
Yeah.
That's similar to, I don't know, children that in Slovene who don't say r, they say l, like Dalilo, or when they don't
they can't pronounce
it correctly, and I think this is the case. Totoro is basically a mispronounced troll. Though Totoro was never defined as a being. It was more of a, also Miyazaki always thought it's just a fluffy animal, and it's not even an animal, it's basically a forest spirit, the guardian of the forest. And the other two are, I don't know, apprentices or tiny helpers who bring the acorns.
But when we mentioned before, like, this was basically the first, maybe not the first, but one of the biggest Japanese breakthroughs to the Western world. And you probably you probably knew about Totoro before this film, did you? No? Not all of you. You didn't? Okay. Because, you can, if you search on Amazon or eBay or whatever, you're gonna find a lot of plush toys and onesies and everything that's like Totoro based. So he was really big because basically he's just like yeah.
He's a big teddy bear.
He's a big teddy bear, and you can see that he influenced a lot of other cartoons. Like, for one thing, what's he called again? Big Hero 6. he's kind of Totoro-ish, and then he also made a sort of, not really a cameo, but then
in Toy Story 3.
yeah, in Toy Story 3. But what I was gonna say is he appears in Samurai Jack as well. There was an episode where Samurai Jack meets this enormous, like, fluffy bear thing, and he's really fluffy, and he can't say a word. He just screams all the time, basically. It's basically Totoro 2.0 or something. So
Yeah, I mean, it really affected the whole world, also commercially. It's one of the most like commercial characters of the whole Miyazaki universe. It also appears in the logo of the Ghibli studio, which was co-founded by Miyazaki himself. But it was not, you know, and it's now basically everywhere. Whenever you think of Ghibli studio, of Miyazaki, you think of Totoro as the ultimate like symbol and
like the cornerstone.
yeah,
of this
the
universe.
representation of this whole Eastern animation idea. What I also want to ask is, maybe have you seen any other Miyazaki's movies? How many of you have seen Spirited Away? Good. How many of you have seen Howl's Moving Castle? Read the book. How many of you have seen Ariete? I'm missing one. Princess Mononoke, thank you. Well, you can maybe see, for those of you who have seen them, and also for those who didn't, you can also see how Miyazaki and his crew is stepping up the game every movie. Like if you start at Nausicaa, or even before, when he did Lupin III, he did a part of the movie. You can see also the escalation of the gradients of the movie. Like the more time passes and the more the Ghibli studio and Miyazaki's team develop, the more the movies become complex, the more the layers become crisper, the layers become more vibrant, more things is happening, you know, in the background, in the first row, everything is moving. And here is already, you know, this is already been happening in Totoro, where you can see like, you know, people in the background, you know, plowing and doing stuff, and you know, while something else is happening up front. And this is also something that is really interesting with his animation, is that although you're watching the front of the movie, in the back, nothing in the background is for granted, or nothing. There's nothing happening. Like there's always somebody else doing something else in the background, and usually some, you know, like really basic things like latching their shoes, or, you know, picking up stuff, or driving past, or a bus is coming. There's always something happening, and I think this is also something really interesting.
For example, like
Miyazaki.
if you watched, like, I mean, probably all of you have watched Cartoon Network movies, like, I don't know, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, whatever. You always, like, okay, you don't really pay much attention to the background, because it's always this one scene that's just like repeating itself all the time. It's just like a what's it called again?
Loop.
Yeah, a loop. I was looking for another word, but it's fine. Yeah, a loop. So I mean, it's really refreshing to see like the scenery and the landscape and the clouds like being very intricately painted and everything. So yeah, I think for me that was just magical.
Yeah, and also that level of mastery of animation and of, you know, drawing and of art was not, you know, Miyazaki didn't just all of a sudden, you know, became this great artist, but he beforehand, and even before he became like this great famous director, he worked his ass off to become who he is. He woke up at, you know, at 8, he began drawing at 9 and stopped drawing at 11 p.m., you know, in the evening, and did this all day, all night. There's a lot of effort in these movies, and basically Miyazaki is also very known to do basically everything. He does the plot, he draws, he assists other people, and other people are drawing some scenes, he always checks them, you know, corrects them. Some, you know, if he doesn't like something, people have to change it. and he always supervises the whole movie, which is not something common. Usually, directors just do they just direct, and then editors edit and so on. I mean, you have connections between these people, but Scorsese or Tarantino doesn't know how to edit a movie. All his movies were edited by this one lady. He never saw a moviola, which I don't know how you say it in any other
Movie room, film room.
Yeah, no, the old editing style thingy,
okay.
which I don't know the other term. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Miyazaki does it all, and the music was done by Joe, whose surname is H and stuff, which I'm not going to pronounce because again, terrible
John
Japanese.
H.
John H. Joe.
Joe, sorry.
And he is also very important to his whole world. I mean, Tonari no Totoro, the song, is one of the most famous songs in Japan, right next to Ponyo, which was another more marine themed Miyazaki's film, which has also this little dance, obviously, with it, which you can also see on the internet, and it's very cute.
What I thought was also interesting, most of you have watched other Miyazaki films, and you might have noticed that Miyazaki likes to maybe recycle some of his minor characters. I think the suit spirits, they appear in other films as well. And there were I think it was in...
It's in Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
In Howl.
I think in Howl's Moving Castle, there are these little tiny ghosts that walk around the forest, and they appear
That's in Mononoke.
That's
Mononoke, yeah.
And in Spirited Away also.
Yeah.
But these are all spirits that exist in, Eastern religions or in Eastern cultures. These are all real parts of their society, of their culture, and they use it as a manifestation of nature. And they use it like the way we use different fairy tales to explain natural reoccurrences. It's the same it's the same concept basically. The black suits, which have another name also, they're basically these house spirits who live in abandoned houses because they can live. They need to have a calm environment where they can survive and live. And they live in groups, and they're super scared of everything. And Totoro is the forest spirit, and then you have the cat bus, which is also a totally different. It's Bakeneko.
Bakeneko, I think.
Yeah, it's basically it's a demon. It's basically Miyazaki recycled or reused
That basically means monster cat.
Monster cat. Yeah. True.
Also, we have a Japanese enthusiast.
That was half question.
Yeah, it means monster cat or demon cat. It's more demon cat, and it's basically Miyazaki reused this concept, this demon, but placed it in a completely different set. Like this, the cat bus.
A more childish sort of.
It's not evil.
But then it kind of looks evil, doesn't it?
Yeah. Though the evilest thing in the movie is the goat. It must be the goat.
Yeah, the goat is the evilest thing.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
And there are many things in this movie that may look kind of creepy. And
even Totoro has his moments where he kind of, when he smiles, it's like a really big smile, and then he has these really small eyes. And it's like, okay, I know you're cute, but then you're also kind of creepy.
Yeah, but I think it's with everything. This is also because of this is a children's story,
course,
but
yeah.
it's also for every age. My grandma loves Totoro, but there are many things that could look creepy to us, but are pretty normal to other people.
To children especially.
Yeah, to children especially. Monsters are a normal thing. Having a monster under your bed, regular. The only place they don't come are hotels. That's where you're safe. And this is all really related to the whole storytelling concept of Miyazaki.
Is this maybe also related to religion, like in Western culture with Christianity? The role of the good is always just God, or and the bad is always associated with all ghosts and spirits. And in Eastern culture, ghosts and spirits can be both.
Yeah,
They are there for everything. There's
That's a good point.
yeah, no, that's probably very true. You know, negative ghost things, spirits, demons in Western culture are all usually represented or meant as bad things, as sinful things. And then, you know, you have God and angels and everything else that's good and, you know, pure. But in Eastern culture, or at least in Miyazaki's film, you don't have bipolar characters or bipolar, you know, two-sided.
Only good guys and bad guys. Everyone has like both sides. It's basically like the yin yang. I mean, everyone has like a sort of dark side and a good side.
Yeah, and I think what you're also trying to say is, I mean, ghosts and spirits in Eastern cultures, I think, are not meant to be good or bad. They're just meant to be something in relation to you. If you do something bad to them, they will probably, you know, be bad to you. But, you know, as Totoro could totally be a monster, you know. But, you know, Satsuki lent him her dad's umbrella, and he gave her, you know, a favor back when May got lost. You know, it's this exchange of favors and of, you know, goodwill, and, you know, he liked them because they were nice, I guess, you know,
and when
this relationship is, you know, also very complex.
And it's also with the little black suits. I think the grandmother at the beginning, she said, if you smile, it will go away. And that's basically, I mean, if you just show a positive attitude towards life, everything bad will just like go away. So,
Yeah, that's also, you know, this kind of thinking, you know, you do positive things to other people, do positive things to yourself, and, you know, this karma way of living.
will return to you.
Yeah, that's also like a thing to think about when watching Miyazaki's movies. Or, for example, even characters here in the movie, we don't have a bad guy. There is no big plot like this big evil person or thing that will come in and destroy everything and burn the house, and then everybody, you know, and there will be a prince or something that will save them all. It's basically just, you know, a move out to the countryside and, you know, living with nature. There is nothing really bad happening except for your own stupidity or stubbornness, because May is obviously the most stubborn human on the planet. She reminds me terribly of my youngest sister, because all children behave like this, you know, this stubborn, very insecure and scared, but at the same time, you know, trying to look really tough. Like, I'm not scared, I do not lie, this is the truth, this is how I envision this. And this is also like very interesting with these characters. They also, you know, they have flaws, and they have very real flaws. Like, one of the biggest characters that is not in this movie, but it's in Mononoke Hime, so Princess Mononoke, is the lady who runs the city. So the whole plot is that you have this, you know, people that come from rural parts, and one of them has a demon in his hand and comes into a city where they are destroying nature and they have a factory. But the lady in charge has this factory and destroys the nature around herself, so to sustain the people living in the city, who are mostly women who are in any kind of way abused or, you know, treated badly. And you can't say for real that this person is bad. She does bad things with a very good purpose. You know, nothing is black and white with Miyazaki, which makes his animations excellent movies, you know, for children to understand that people are not, you know, the black guy and, you know, the dark guy, Charlie Watch, you know. You know, the dark evil guy lurking in the shadows, wanting to do bad things, you know, or, you know, the good, you know, whatever.
But isn't that kind of strange, because in Western animation, especially cartoons, it's always like, this is the bad guy, he does bad things, you should learn that this is bad and you shouldn't do that, right? And this is the good guy, he does good things and gets rewarded for it, you should be good like him. Like, they specifically make examples for the children to learn that way. Though with Miyazaki, I guess they learn better, like, what real life is going to be like, instead of just what the consequences of their actions are going to be.
That, and also, you know, for example, The Little Mermaid, that came out basically at the same time, I think it's 89. you know, we never know why exactly Ursula is so angry at Triton, you know, but there probably is a reason, you know. I mean, at least I think that children at some point will ask you, what happened to Ursula, you know, why is she not chill, you know. Yeah, I mean, what happened, and there must be a reason, you know. Bad people or people who do terrible things to others have their reasons behind them, or a certain history, a certain psychology why this happened. Nothing is there because it's just there, except probably the universe. But
Like, that's very deep.
thank you. Totally not founded on any kind of evidence.
I mean, what I found very like groundbreaking about the film was that it's not like this enormous adventure. Like, it was not this escapade into a magical world and then like a Narnia or something. It was basically, I mean, if you take away like the element of Totoro and all the magical stuff, it's basically two sisters and one of them gets lost and the older one tries to find her. That's it.
Yeah,
And
there is no bigger plot.
there is no bigger plot, but then everyone here just couldn't stop looking. Everyone was just like, yes. And I think that's what makes Miyazaki such a great like animator
And storyteller.
and storyteller as well.
But aren't the other movies exactly that? Like going into another world that's magical and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, magic
Yeah,
is
but-
an integrated, it's a vital part of his world. It's
Yeah.
not something, you know, from the outside that just comes, you know. It's not a letter that now brings down, you know, through your mailbox and all of a sudden you're a wizard. It's just, it's part of this whole world. Totally got the analogy. It's part of, it's an internal part of this world, and it's real, and it's fine, and it works. It's not from the outside. You don't need to move somewhere else to live it. You just need to open your eyes and explore your own surroundings.
It's basically just telling children, use your imagination and believe in it, and it's fine. Which I think is wonderful. In contrast to Western films where basically, okay, you can use your imagination, but only until you're like 10, and then you have to be an adult.
And
So-
please be pretty.
And please be pretty. Yeah, that's very interesting actually, because I mean, Miyazaki shows like Satsuki's worn down feet and how like Mei's knees get scraped and all that stuff, and how her hair gets like roughed up and stuff like that. So it's very real. It's very natural. So I think that was
That and the, you know, soaking wet face.
the soaking wet face, yeah, with
Ah.
the tear trails, and it's very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, children. And any other commentary on this, maybe, or any kind of thought about what we said or what you saw?
We might have like bombarded you with information right now, but I mean.
Yeah, do you have any kind of specific question, or about the animation, or about the story? How is it plotted? I mean, how was the storyboard made?
Maybe about the animation, because like all the aquarelle paintings basically, or how I can imagine this, because it like the trees that are very detailed in a way, and then they change colors because it gets dark, but the shapes stay the same, exactly the same. So and it's before computers where you could just, or is it? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
how do they do this?
All the movies that were made by Miyazaki were made by hand, as in they were drawn by hand. Nothing was drawn on the computer.
Because
They-
there was no technology
Yeah,
at the time.
they
Yeah,
said
no,
that
but
later,
also
yes.
how
Yeah.
was completely done by hand. The idea is that you need to draw something by hand and feel it to give it life. This is the whole concept of Miyazaki, and that's why he worked all the time like this. They basically draw like the sketches, you know, when you see like in old animation, so many pages of the same thing that's moving, you know, pictures that are slightly different. And this is, you know, the first step, and then you scan it, and then you put it on film, you know, which is basically every drawing is a frame. So we can imagine the amount of drawings plus the scraped ones that were made to make a, you know, 1.5 hour long movie. That's the first step. The first step. The second step is, you know, how to color it, and you have, you know, many layers of color. You have basically the base color, which is usually used with watercolors and then filled separately by a special, also a bit of computer technique, and then you put basically layers over.
Yeah.
Different layers.
Layers of like plastic foil, basically. It's transparent, and you draw, like, for example, he would make a painting of the scenery, like the sky, the hills, the hilltops, all the stuff, and he would put like, he would draw the characters and their movements on a piece of transparent foil and just layer it over, and then just change it all the time.
You need to imagine like a really long row of pictures.
Basically, yeah.
And you have to imagine at least 3 layers of this. So you have the back scenery, which is like basic watercolor. The front scenery, so that means the shadows, the clouds that are moving. And then you have, the second layer with, shrubs, the bushes, the fields of rice. And then you have the front layer, and on the front layer you have the characters. And then in between you have also like people moving and stuff like that. This is basically, it's like a sandwich. It's like a perfect sandwich. And this is how it works, and this is how it worked for a very long time. Now they also, they make these animations digitally, but they draw the basic things all by hand. As in, they draw it, they scan it, they correct it probably in Photoshop or something similar, and then animate it. As in, put it in motion, like trillions of pictures per second.
It's kind of like if you can imagine like a stop motion animation. Like if you want to make a clay animation, for example, you would make the characters by hand, and then you would take a picture and move the character just a little bit, take another picture, a little bit more, take another picture, and it's like a days long process. So to make like maybe to make an hour-long movie, an hour and a half long movie.
You need 2 years of work. I mean,
Basically.
what was it? Tim Burton on Disney, Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. I think they took, I will probably be lying, but something around 6 years to make it because of the stop motion thing. And this is similar, but 2D. So yeah, does this answer your question? And then, interesting fun fact, the English dub was made by Elle and Dakota Fanning, just super tiny.
And they're sisters.
Yeah, so they used them to dub the movie in English.
I think that was a good choice. I mean, for me, they're
Yeah, it works.
they're cute.
Yeah, they were totally cute. Now they're just sexy.
Sure.
They're age appropriate. It's fine. Any other maybe also technical question?
Or any commentaries? You can just say like if you have.
There is no such thing as a stupid question until we hear it. No, seriously, people, come on.
About the content, about the animation itself, whatever.
I hear the water outside with the fountain. That's bad. I mean, what I also maybe really love about this movie are the soundtracks. They're just amazing. It's just something that brings even more life to this. I'm gonna search the name because I don't know.
We don't have the projector on anymore.
Yeah, we would totally run the music. Yeah, do continue. I'm gonna find this.
Is the name of that Pokemon Snorlax that's similar to Totoro?
Snorlax and Totoro.
Yeah.
Good point, though I think Pokemon... No, wait. Pokemons were created in the 90s. Though the concept is probably older. About?
Snorlax is basically just a fat guy laying there. So
It's a pretty strong Pokemon when he wakes up, okay?
no, he's strong when he sits down.
Joe
On to
Hisaishi,
somebody
thank
else.
you.
This is gonna turn
I
into a
found the guy.
Pokemon base.
No, it's not gonna turn into a Pokemon. No, it's not gonna happen. Though, I think Pokemons were created in the 90s, so probably there are some influences. I mean, Totoro is a very influential character slash thing slash demon slash forest.
Did you heard about that rumors, don't know anything about it, that May actually dies in the lake?
Yes, Yes, there are many rumors, or at least theories about
theories.
that. Actually, the whole cat bus and Totoro situation with Satsuki is her way of coping with the death of Mei, because the sandal really looks the same.
It does actually.
And she actually runs away from that situation immediately after they realize that it's not her, it's not Mei's sandal. So this is a legit theory, though Miyazaki never confirmed it, or at least tried to say no, it's not the case. Though this is one. The other is also that their mother dies. Though I don't think that holds, because at the end credits you can see tiny pictures with the mom coming back and playing around with them and spoiling with Satsuki and Mei. So yeah, I heard of this story, and there are core theories on this. You can whole essays about this. So it's plausible, though never really confirmed.
Maybe the grandma, when they said it, well, she was wrong. Well, maybe this is not indicated, because grandma's rule was right, and then.
Though here, the grandma is so cute.
She's so
grandma
cute.
is amazing. Yeah, that's that probably holds this concept that maybe she died. That maybe because this is something. Maybe this is a minus points to the father, who is still dead of the ear. But he kind of lets them wander around he does his work. He's an archaeology professor, which is the most academic, humanistic thing you can possibly be. Being an archaeologist, which is also awesome. But he lets them a lot of freedom. Mei is 4. I mean, if my parents would leave me for 20 minutes alone, I would be dead in a ditch because I would be following something. Oh, also interesting detail. When Mei is playing in the garden, she, zero attention span. She has one thing, she has the acorns, she sees something else, she runs after it. But she holds her attention when she wants to find the tiny white spirit, because she's crouching like any kind of kid, near the tiny hole, and there is a butterfly, flying around her head. Doesn't budge, because she really wants to know where the white tiny rabbit thing is.
And I love how basically the whole movie is based on childhood innocence. It's you get it in the very first scene when they're driving to the countryside, and the two girls see this guy on a bike and they think it's a policeman, and they kind of hide.
We all did.
We all did that.
We hid whenever we saw a blue car, and then when it passed, we came out and it's fine. This was a safe place. I think at some point everybody did it. You just forgot it. I'm sure you did it.
And how they bathe together. It's also yeah, maybe to us it's kind of creepy, but I don't know.
It's a total normal thing for them, because they have. Also
they're not debating, they're laughing in the.
Yeah,
that thing, yeah,
that's
that's
because
right.
the dad creeped out. The dad was,
Dad was
creeped out.
He was scared, but he was trying to sort of not make her daughters scared too.
Mm-hmm.
His daughters. But.
Yeah, his reaction is also hilarious to me, because you can see he's totally creeped out, and he's like, oh god, this house is going to totally fall apart. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Laugh about it.
Laugh about it, it's fine. And the whole bathing scene, this is pretty common. They live in a old traditional house, and in Japan, this is how you usually do it. You wash yourself outside, and then you go in a hot tub, bath, to just soak in. That's it. You don't wash in the bath. You just wash on the outside. That's what Satsuki does. She's soaping up and then washing off and jumping in.
And it's not uncommon. We see it in saunas as well. People are just naked together. So.
Yeah, they're totally not ashamed of their bodies or
no.
anything, and it's normal. So no more. Free the nipple. No, don't. Anyway, there's another thing I thought to say about Japanese culture, but I again forgot. I'm losing threads, sorry. Probably something about the bath? No. Oh, the house. The house is actually, I mean, what happened to the house? So the house is animated, it's not real. But they modeled the house that they used on one of the expos, you know, world expositions like the one we had in Milano 1 year ago, 2 years ago? Something-ish, one. Well, they modeled the typical Japanese house with this house, and it's basically, it looks basically the same. So this is another, you know, very cultural thing.
It's like open to visitors. I don't know where it is actually.
I think it's in Japan.
Probably in Japan somewhere, but it's like.
It's one of the, yeah, it was a World Expo, I think in Japan, and they made this whole, like, you know, with the Japanese garden and everything, and they made this house to, you know, show the typical houses of Japan, and they made it. They modeled it
You
by
have to go to Japan to see a typical Japanese house.
That's identical to the one
Okay.
in Totoro.
If you want to enter the Miyazaki world, you have to go to Japan.
Yeah, or visit Ghibli studios,
Or that.
which are magical.
Isn't there a museum for Ghibli
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, they made a museum. I think it's not even that old, and it's basically really near where the studio is in Tokyo. So it's one of those things. You know, go to Japan. Another thing, go, you know, Skyscanner and go to Japan. It's fine. Any other questions or
Commentaries.
commentaries or love for Miyazaki?
Fangirling.
No love whatsoever.
I think, I don't know. We'd like to thank you again for joining us. It was really a pleasure seeing you all like gathering around here. Like,
Yeah, we did not expect this.
we did not expect this, and we did not expect this. This is also a great turnout, like for the discussion. Thank you for listening to our babbling.
We weren't prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also thank you to Riše Literatore, who is hosting our event, who hosted our event, and who is hosting some other events we do. One of them is Filmski večeri, movie nights. You know, the Društvo študenta filmske književnosti organizes movie nights every first of Tuesday of every month. We're watching, in April, we're watching We Need to Talk About Kevin, which is a much more heavy-duty movie than this one, obviously. But it's going to be interesting, so please come. It's, you know, first Tuesday of the month at 7 here. I will be here too, but I won't coordinate the debate, thank God. That, and we're totally going to self-promote ourselves. We have a podcast.
Yes.
Because we don't talk enough, and we have a podcast.
Yeah.
Do tell.
We are bookworms, basically. So we have a little side project. We basically do stuff for free. It's a little it's a project on SoundCloud. It's called Večernice. We basically every month we choose like a book and we sort of like fangirl about it, or we criticize it. We talk about it in general. And yeah.
You should totally listen. We're on
totally.
Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
#Večernica.
We'll share the links with you if you want. And yeah, I mean.
You're more than welcome to join the Večernica team.
One of the episodes was based on Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. We also do very classical literature. This month we're going to be doing Slovenian poetry, everything, like Mešano na žaru.
So yeah, you're more than welcome to join the listening. And I think we're good. Do you want to say thank you to anybody else? No? I mean, thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. So yeah, thank you for coming and hope to see you again sometime soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.